For 20 years now, wanted to fish Linch Hill. It's got Christchurch Lake, Willow Lake. I know they're both really riggy waters. They're very quintessentially English and stunning lakes, but they've been syndicates. Only used to fish every other weekend, and one of those was the weekender piece, so we targeted day ticket fish, and now I've got my opportunity. It's gone back to a day ticket. I've arrived up here in November, and really relishing the challenges of a riggy water. You know, it's lots has changed in carp fishing over the years. You've got fish that are in here for 40 years that know everything about this water, and so yeah, what a challenge that is. But I started out with a wivvy pool rig in little small bags, and I had one bite on it. Unfortunately, got cut off in the weed, and then done a couple of nights, and I thought, I'm getting done here. The fish were definitely on me. I was getting the liners, but I sort of analysed and thought, it's not the wivvy pool rig itself, it's the fact it's a pop-up. And I think where I was fishing quite a clean bottom, they just weren't having it, and I had to change. So I changed to dumbbell wafters, whittled them down put them into little solid bags, and put them on the deck. You know, so and shorten the rig even. I was using about 6 inches with the wivvy, and I shortened them down to 4 inches, and that's all key for, you know, for anglers that you do fish sort of waters like this. You do need to be on your game and change what you're doing. You can sit it out and you know, you might have a 3 or 4 day session and you might get a bite, but it's, you know, it's changed, just tweaking those little changes that turned it around for me. You know, and a rig that I came up with nearly 30 years ago, which I deem as one of the best rigs out there, it wasn't getting picked up, so I had to bin it off, and that's the first time ever. A bit of history for me. Like, you had to bin off the wivvy pool rig. The tactical change worked immediately. Fished the first night with the new, you know, wafter rig in the bag, and I didn't get anything through the night. But about 8 o'clock in the morning, I had my first Christchurch bite, and it was a 35-4 common. Fantastic! I was blown away. Really happy with that. I left the rods out in the day, which is a lot of anglers on here, I've been told, don't do that. They reel them in because the water's very clear. They don't seem to feed hard in the day. But I thought, I'm happy with where they were, and where I put it out in the solid bag, felt confident of a bite. Blow me at 12 o'clock during the day. I had the 45.5 pound common called Benny's, which was absolutely blown away with the size of this thing. Put it on the mat, it was nearly the whole length of my mat, and the shoulders were amazing. It was just an absolute unit of a fish, and to have a PB middle of the day out of a very tricky water was just amazing. I'm using bags primarily not for any other reason. It's that I'm using braid, and I can't sit there using a braided hook link and worry that it's tangled. It's just always been a bugbear for me. In a solid bag, I know 100% that that's fishing right. And I'm using a little tiny wafter rig, 4 inches long, with a little bit of silicone trapping the hair almost right round to the barbs. It's that close to the hook. I want them, if they are sort of, you know, snaffling over the baits, just literally testing them. I want that hook link to have got about 1 inch of travel, and bam. A lot of it's about the mix I was using. Instead of using whole boilies, I was literally, for hours on end, using the little crusher, and only the small one as well, and just literally putting the Manilla boilies. Every night I was putting out probably about half a bucket of that mixed in with the bloodworm pellet. I mean, the two combined, I don't just like a blatant sort of colour just down on the bottom, and the bloodworm pellet, it gave it a fleck. It looked like there was little snails in there. They're releasing all the blood and the oils, and just a fantastic mix. That together for me, you know, especially coming off the back of just absolutely battering Manilla with the krill. So to go on a brand new bait, it's testament to how good the bait is, because it's, you know, out of a hard water like this, the runs came immediately. All through this period, what became apparent to me was using solid bags. I'm not a solid bag angler, I never have been, but I'm only using it as a vehicle to get out a braided rig. But what became very apparent, I always make the ends of the bag, round them off. So it does travel, a bit like a bullet, not quite as severe, but it's when you're leading down with it, it really does come down with a thud. And one thing I did find was if I got a decent thud on the cast, it was almost, I was brimming with confidence because it almost equalled a bite. And so I've actually recast one bag. I did 5 times till I got a solid donk. And it's that all-important donk that really did sort of build my confidence. Rolling on with the same tactics, on my second visit to Christchurch, fished a different swim, fantastic swim called the Point, and I started out obviously the same tactics we use, but I fished sort of open water, and it was very, very windy, up to 50 mile an hour. I couldn't keep the rods in the water. Line was coming off the spools because of the weed. That's been quite a key point actually. The weed in here is still very fresh, very green, but it's being ripped up in big chunks. I was right in the teeth of this wind. So I've opted to fish sort of open water, and it didn't work for 2 nights. It was a tricky one, and anyway, I kept my eyes on the water, and I noticed a fish rolling close to me. I thought, if there's a few fish there, I did not want to start leading about in case they were there, just hiding out of the way. So I found a spot very close in. I sort of dispatched the mix out dry, so the little 2.3 mil bloodworm pellets, half of them float to start with. So what I was hoping, with the wind as strong as it was, it would take them down into this little bay, and it worked perfectly because I could see the slick going down, and I could see the birds were still following the pellets into the margin. So I thought, this is fantastic. So that night I was full of confidence, really, really confident, and sort of late morning, had my first bite, and that was it. 300th English 30, bam, nailed. It was a fish called toe jam, which is the one apparently, one of the 18, they're all after it, very rarely comes out. It obviously fell to the tactics and had a liking for the Manilla and Bloodworm combo. And I was just blown away with that, so I put her in the net and put the rod back out at the same spot, and it went down, like we spoke earlier about a little donk, and it did go down with a donk. And I didn't put any bait on it. I just thought, well, if there's any sort of powder left out there, it will still work, and it blinking did, because I had a fully scaled mirror, 35.5. Blown away with that one. So just approaching the end of my second session on Christchurch in December. I've had 5 fish, which is fantastic. Haven't lost any. Haven't had to drop any leads. It's been fantastic, you know. Highlight obviously is the 41 common, and but I've got a real personal goal. I've hit my 300 English 30s now, but my personal goal is to catch a 50 pounder. And there's not many places I want to do it from. And I know Christchurch at the moment has probably got 2 in it. So if I can catch one of them through December or January, I am definitely coming back. That is definite.